Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Signals and Standards with Suzie, the show where we decode mixed messages, raise the bar, and serve up real talk with a side of empowerment. I'm your host, Suzie, your go-to for truth bombs, clarity, and the kind of tough love that gets you unstuck and back in the driver's seat of your life. Together, let's turn those signals into action. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Signals and Standards with Suzie, where we decode the signals life sends us so you can raise your standards, protect your peace, and live empowered from the inside out. I'm your host, Suzie, your go-to coach for navigating the messy, magical world of relationships, mindset, and self-worth. Let's dive into a common experience today. Have you ever found yourself caught in a mental loop, replaying a conversation over and over and over and over again? Wondering if you could have said something different, noticed a sign maybe, or a flag, or handled a situation maybe a little bit better? Perhaps you've spent sleepless nights trying to figure it all out, only to end up feeling more confused, anxious, drained, and really exhausted. That, my friends, is overthinking, or as psychologists like to call it, rumination. And while reflection can be a gift, helping us learn, grow, and even to make better choices, rumination is the gift that keeps on taking. It's like being trapped on a mental hamster wheel, running hard but going nowhere, drained and dizzy from the thoughts that won't quiet down. If you've ever asked yourself, why can't I stop overthinking? Or how do I know when I'm thinking it through versus thinking myself stuck? This episode, it's your invitation to pause, breathe, and take your power back. Today, we're unpacking the psychology behind overthinking, learning how to recognize when your mind has crossed the line from reflection to rumination, and most importantly, how to stop spiraling and to start living. By the end of this episode, you'll have the fundamental evidence-based tools to help you release the loops and reset your focus. And in the end, really, to reclaim your peace of mind. Because peace isn't something you find by thinking harder. It's something you choose by letting go. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's talk about how to stop overthinking and to start moving forward. So, how do you really know if your thinking is reflection or if it's rumination? Let's be honest, it can be a very fine line, and most of us have crossed it more times than we'd like to admit. You might even be crossing it right now. Understanding this distinction can be a game changer, bringing a sense of relief and empowerment as well. Reflection is that calm, intentional, and mindful moment when you sit with your thoughts to connect the dots, to understand the lesson in the experience and move towards growth. It's when you pause and ask, what can I learn from this? And actually move towards an answer that empowers you to do something differently next time. Reflection is gentle. It's forward moving. It's self-compassion in action. It's about being kind to yourself and understanding that really everyone makes mistakes, but it's what we learn from them that matters. It's about reframing your thoughts in a way that builds you up rather than tearing you down. Rumination, on the other hand, or overthinking, it's the sinister sibling of reflection. It masquerades as helpful, as if you're gaining insight or being responsible by analyzing what went wrong. But in reality, it's mental quicksand and you're falling in deep. The more you wrestle with the thought, the deeper you sink. It's that voice that says, if I can just think about this one more time, I'll finally understand it. But you don't, because overthinking doesn't bring clarity, it brings chaos. According to experts, overthinking often looks like this: replaying the same conversations in your head, obsessing over what you should have said, done, or noticed, or even imagining all the worst case scenarios or outcomes before anything's even happened. It's like living in a movie that you keep rewatching over and over and over again, except you already know the ending and it really never changes. What's fascinating is that your brain thinks it's helping. Psychology explains that overthinking is your brain's attempt to solve a problem, but it gets stuck in a feedback loop. Thinking feels like progress, but no real progress happens. It's like sitting in your car, engine revving, gas pedal pressed to the floor. There's a lot of noise, a lot of energy burned, but you're not moving an inch. Here's an intriguing twist. Cambridge University has coined a term for certain types of overthinking as productive rumination. This occurs when deep thought leads to problem solving, innovation, or creative breakthroughs. However, this is only the case when your thoughts are purposeful. The problem is, most of our overthinking really isn't about solving. It's about soothing or even self-criticism. We're trying to calm our anxiety by mentally controlling the uncontrollable. We think that if we can analyze it enough, we'll feel safe. But ironically, that constant mental replaying amplifies anxiety instead of reducing it, which is really our ultimate goal, right? Or we hope. And that's why psychology highlights mindfulness as one of the most effective ways to stop the cycle. Mindfulness, it's not about not thinking. It's not forcing your brain to go blank or pretending nothing happened. It's about noticing your patterns, noticing your thoughts without attaching to them. It's that split second when you catch yourself spiraling and say, wait a moment. This thought isn't helping me act, grow, or heal. It's just keeping me stuck. That moment of self-awareness, that right there, that's power. That is self-leadership. And that's you grabbing the steering wheel back from your runaway thoughts. It's about taking control and leading your mind in the direction you want it to go. Think of mindfulness as putting a leash on your mind instead of letting it drag you across the mental landscape. Try this. The next time you catch yourself looping, pause and ask yourself, is this thought bringing me closer to peace or further away from it? If it's not bringing you closer, it's not reflection, it's rumination. And let me tell you, I see this all the time. People come to me convinced they're being deep thinkers. They've convinced themselves that if they can think harder, they'll finally feel better. But what they're really doing is emotional archaeology, digging up the same bones, the same memories, the same regrets, hoping that this time they'll find something new. But they don't. They end up more tired, more anxious, and more stuck. That's just exhausting. They'll say things like, I just need to understand why it happened, or if I could only know what I did wrong. And I get it. I've been there. Clarity feels like control, and control feels safe. But here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from letting go. That's an important and challenging thing to do. I know this from personal experience. It's hard. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the illusion that mental gymnastics can fix emotional pain. And the good news? You can absolutely train your mind to let go. It's not about flipping a switch. It's about building a new muscle, one that recognizes when a thought no longer serves you, like an annoying house guest that is taking up space without even being invited. It starts with awareness, that moment you catch yourself mid-loop and think, wait, I've been here before. Then comes redirection, shifting from rumination to reflection. That might mean journaling your thoughts so they stop swirling in your head, or doing a grounding exercise like naming 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. A simple reset that pulls your mind back to the present. I do this actually with my kids when they're kind of spiraling a little bit about anything. Over time, you build the ability to say, this thought isn't helping me. I'm choosing peace instead. And that is where everything changes. It's not about shutting your thoughts off. It's about shifting them from judgment to curiosity, from why did this happen to me to what can I take from this that helps me grow, from what did I do wrong to what do I want to do differently. That, my friends, is empowerment. Reflection opens the door to healing. Rumination locks the door from the inside. And once you start to recognize the difference, you'll realize that peace isn't something you have to go searching for. It's been there all along, buried beneath layers of overthinking. When you stop trying to think your way to peace and start allowing yourself to feel it, you'll finally understand this truth. You don't need to think more. You need to trust more. Mic drop. So here's something to reflect on. When was the last time you caught yourself going in circles over a decision? Replaying conversations in your head, trying to predict outcomes, or waiting for the perfect answer to appear before you could move forward? And when, if ever, did you stop, take a breath, and choose to trust yourself instead of chasing every what if? Think about that for a moment, because that's often where the shift begins, in that tiny, quiet space between reflection and reaction. You see, when we overthink, we give our fears the microphone. We let uncertainty narrate our next move. But when we pause, when we breathe, we reclaim that power. We remind ourselves that not every thought deserves a spotlight. Not every unanswered question needs an immediate solution. Maybe there was a time recently when you knew what your heart was telling you, but your mind wouldn't stop debating it. You analyzed it from every angle, asked for 5 opinions, read every article, and still felt stuck. That's rumination, doing what it does best, keeping you in motion, but not in progress. So what if today, instead of asking, what if I'm wrong, you asked, what if I'm ready? What if you believe that clarity doesn't come from thinking harder, but from listening deeper to your intuition, your values, your truth? Reflection should illuminate your path, not trap you in a maze. And maybe the way out isn't found in thinking your way through, but in feeling your way forward. Thank you for joining us. It's time for some listener questions. Remember, you can always send your own questions at powercoachsuzie.com. Here's our first question. I keep replaying conversations with others in my head. How do I stop? Oh, that's such a great and very human question, and one we can all relate to, right? Because honestly, who hasn't been there? You disagree with someone or maybe have a misunderstanding, and suddenly your brain becomes a late night rerun channel playing that same scene on repeat. You replay what you said, what they said, what you wish you said, and before you know it, you've spiraled into emotional exhaustion. Here's the thing, and this is where I want you to pause and really think about it. Are you replaying the conversation to understand it or to punish yourself for it? Because that's the turning point. Reflection can teach you something, but rumination will only drain you. Experts suggest something simple yet powerful. Set a time limit for reflection. Give yourself 10 minutes to process. So in those 10 minutes, you write down your thoughts if you need to, then consciously say to yourself, that's enough for now. When the loop tries to start again, oh, and it will, gently redirect your focus to something grounding. Maybe count your breaths, stretch, go for a short walk, listen to a song that soothes you, whatever works for you. Another tool that works great is a 3-column technique. So grab a notebook and write down what actually happened, the facts only, what I'm telling myself about it, and what can I learn or do differently next time. This will separate fact from feeling and helps your mind move from self-criticism to self-coaching. And here's a truth I've learned from years of coaching and even from my own life. Replaying the moment doesn't rewrite it, but reframing it, that can change everything. So the next time your mind starts spinning into the abyss of overthinking, try saying this to yourself. I've learned what I needed to learn. Now I choose peace. And really, say it really loud if you can. I've learned what I needed to learn, and now I choose peace. Because the sound of your own voice reclaiming your calm is one of the most empowering things you'll ever hear. It's okay if it doesn't work right away. Over time, you'll get there. Be kind and patient with yourself first and foremost. Here's our second question. I feel like overthinking is ruining my confidence. What can I do about that? Oh, I feel that one deeply because overthinking doesn't just drain your energy. It chips away at your confidence one doubt at a time. It's like standing in front of a mirror that keeps fogging up. You can't see yourself clearly anymore. Every what if and maybe I shouldn't have adds another layer of haze until you start questioning your worth instead of your choices. But here's the truth. Overthinking isn't proof that you're weak. It's proof that you care. It actually shows that you're thoughtful, emotionally invested, and want to do the right thing. The key is learning to redirect that thoughtfulness so it builds you instead of breaks you. According to psychologists, self-compassion is the ultimate confidence reset. When you catch yourself spiraling into, I should have known better, stop and shift the tone. Ask yourself, would I talk this way to someone I love? Probably not. So instead, try, I did my best with what I knew at the time. That one reframe can stop your mind from turning on itself. Another powerful real-world tool, journaling, but doing it with intention. Don't just dump your thoughts onto paper. Organize them with purpose. Try this 3-step journal flow. Download your thoughts, so get everything out of your head and onto the page. Detect the patterns. What themes or fears keep showing up? There's always a pattern. Decide what's true and what's just noise. This process helps you externalize your thoughts instead of identifying with them. And that shift builds emotional clarity, which directly boosts confidence. And let's make it practical. When you catch yourself overthinking, use this quick mantra. I can think this through, but I don't have to think it to death. Then ground yourself in action. Move your body, complete one small task, call a friend, or step outside for a few minutes of fresh air. Confidence isn't built in your head, it's built through motion, through actions, through reminding yourself that you can act before you have all the answers. Here's the takeaway. You can't control every outcome, but you can control how long to let your thoughts hold you hostage. Next time your mind starts spiraling, take a deep breath, give yourself grace, and remember, your thoughts don't define you. Your choices do. Listener question number 3. Can overthinking be useful? That's such a great question, and honestly, one a lot of people never really think to ask, because here's the thing, not all overthinking is bad. In fact, the very same mental muscle that leads you to overanalyze can also lead you to incredible insight when it's used the right way and when it's used intentionally. The Cambridge study we mentioned earlier actually found that what we call overthinking can sometimes serve a purpose when it's goal-directed, meaning you're thinking with intention, structure, and an end in mind. That's when deep thought becomes reflection, the kind that sparks solutions, sparks creativity, and even personal breakthroughs. The challenge is knowing when your mind is being helpful and when it's hijacking your peace. Ask yourself this simple question. Am I thinking to find clarity, or am I thinking to feel in control? If it's clarity, you'll feel calmer as you think things through. Your thoughts will start connecting dots. You'll see possibilities and next steps. But if it's control, you'll feel tense, restless, and stuck replaying the same loop because your brain isn't searching for truth anymore. It's searching for safety. So even if you tell yourself that you're doing it for clarity and you're really not, your body will give you the answer you need. Here's the practical exercise I teach clients. The 3C check-in: clarity, curiosity, and control. When you catch yourself thinking deeply, pause and ask. Clarity, am I learning something new or just recycling old thoughts? Curiosity, am I exploring the possibilities or judging myself? Control, am I trying to fix what's unfixable right now? Trying to change the past? If your answer lands in the clarity or curiosity zone, great, that's productive reflection. But if you're in control mode, it's time to step away, breathe, and refocus your energy somewhere that restores you. Another trick? Time boxing your thinking. Give yourself permission to think it through, but with a boundary. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Brainstorm, plan, write, reflect, and when the timer is up, close that mental tab. If it's still weighing on you later, schedule another short slot. This tells your brain we're handling this, just not all at once. And remember, intentional overthinking can fuel problem solving, creativity, and also growth. But unintentional overthinking drains your energy and keeps you in emotional quicksand. The power isn't shutting your thoughts off. It's in training them to work for you instead of against you. That's empowerment. So yes, overthinking can be helpful, but only when you're the one driving the car. When you notice your mind taking the wheel and speeding towards anxiety, that's your cue to grab the keys back, slow down, and steer your thoughts with intention. Because the goal isn't to stop thinking, it's to think better. Take a breath with me. Slow it down. Now, think about your own life for a moment. Which thoughts are actually moving you towards your goals? And which ones are keeping you circling the same block? Are your thoughts building bridges or are they building walls? Are they guiding you forward or are they quietly convincing you to stay exactly where you are? You see, stopping overthinking isn't about silencing your mind or pretending you don't care. It's about taking back the steering wheel, choosing when to drive your thoughts forward and when to pull over, rest, and reset. It's realizing that not every thought deserves your full attention. Some thoughts are meant to teach you, others are intended to pass through. The wisdom is in knowing the difference. So here's your aha moment. Peace doesn't come from thinking less, comes from thinking with purpose. When you become intentional with your mind, you become powerful in your life. And that, my friends, is where growth begins. Now, I would like to share a story from one of my coaching sessions that really brings today's topic to life. I worked with a client who came to me feeling completely stuck. She was an intelligent, compassionate woman who couldn't stop replaying old dating experiences in her mind. Every message she sent, every date she went on, she'd analyze it from every angle. Did I say too much? Not enough? Did I read the signals wrong? Her mind became a movie reel she couldn't turn off. And because she was always looking backwards, she couldn't move forward. The fear of repeating the past kept her frozen in place. Sound familiar? What we did together was very simple, but it was powerful. We started small. I asked her to spend just 1 minute a day writing in her journal. Not analyzing, just noticing. What am I feeling right now? What's true and what's fear? Over time, that 1 minute became 5, and that 5 became her favorite part of her day. Then we introduced a mindfulness practice, just a few deep breaths, focusing on being present instead of perfect. These small, doable steps began to rebuild her trust in herself. They created a new habit, responding to her thoughts, not reacting to them. And slowly she began to date again. This time, not from fear or self-doubt, but from a place of curiosity and self-worth. Now, I'll be honest, I deeply related to her journey. I've been there too. I think we all have. There was a time when I used to replay conversations and interactions with others over and over in my head, analyzing every word, every silence, and every moment I thought I could have done better, beating myself up in the process. I told myself it was reflection, but really, I was feeding the beast. I was feeding that loop of rumination that kept me emotionally drained and eternally unhappy with myself. I still do it sometimes, but really not as much, because the turning point really came for me when I realized that overthinking was my brain's way of trying to protect me from getting hurt again. That's when really things changed, and I keep reminding myself of that. It was like a wall or barrier or even armor protecting me. But protection isn't the same as peace, is it? I started with tiny intentional steps, journaling, naming my feelings instead of fighting them, setting time limits for how long I'd allow myself to think it through. I also learned the power of self-compassion, reminding myself that growth isn't about perfect decisions. It's about progress and awareness. And even if I fall into that overthinking pattern sometimes, I come back to this. I come back to what really worked for me. And none of us are perfect. And no solution is perfect. We just have to come back to what works and really be intentional about it. And let me tell you, the moment you stop fighting your thoughts and start guiding them, everything shifts. You begin to reclaim your mental energy. You start to notice joy again. You feel lighter. So whether it's in love, work, your own inner dialogue, remember this. Transformation doesn't begin with giant leaps. It starts with one small, consistent step. You don't have to stop thinking. You have to start thinking differently. That's how reflection turns into empowerment, and that's how awareness becomes peace. So let's bring everything we've discussed today together. We've explored a lot on our journey, from how reflection helps you grow or how rumination quietly holds you back. You've learned that overthinking isn't a flaw, it's a signal that your mind is craving peace, clarity, and control. The key is to recognize when that thinking crosses the line, when reflection stops being productive, and when it starts being punishing. You know that mindfulness, journaling, and intentional pauses aren't just buzzwords. They're tools to help you reclaim your mental space. They're small, steady practices that help you break free from the mental noise and reconnect to your inner calm. Here's what I want you to take with you. Your thoughts aren't your enemy. They're your teachers. But just like any good lesson, you have to know when class is over. When you catch yourself looping, pause. Ask, is this thought helping me move forward, or is it keeping me stuck? That one question alone can change the direction of your day. Remember, self-awareness isn't about judging yourself. It's about freeing yourself. It's about realizing that peace doesn't mean silence in your mind. It means harmony with it. If today's conversation resonated with you, it will with someone else. So share it. Share it with anyone who needs it. Because you know what? We're all guilty of overthinking sometimes. And sometimes all it takes is one shared reminder to break the cycle for someone else. So as you go about your week, permit yourself to breathe, to let go, and to live more intentionally. Because reflection should always light your way forward, not trap you in yesterday's shadow. Before we end, I ask that you repeat this after me. I release thoughts that do not serve me. You know, the ones that replay the past, stir my fear, or keep me stuck. I release thoughts that do not serve me. The ones that drain my energy, cloud my judgment, or steal my peace. I release thoughts that do not serve me, making room for clarity, confidence, and the courage to take action. I release thoughts that do not serve me. You are in control of your mind. You are the guardian of your heart. You are the creator of your peace. Every thought you release clears space for what truly matters: insight, growth, joy, and meaningful connections. Every thought you let go is a step towards living intentionally instead of endlessly spinning in loops. Say it, believe it, and watch how your mind begins to follow your lead. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Signals and Standards with Suzie. Remember, reflection is your ally, rumination is not, and your mental peace is non-negotiable. Join us next week for another empowering discussion. You won't want to miss it. You can find all the Signals and Standards past episodes on the Signals and Standards with Suzie podcast on all your favorite platforms. Check it out, subscribe, and share. See you next time. For daily inspiration and practical advice, find me on social media at Power Coach Suzie. Got questions or ideas for the show? Head to powercoachsuzie.com where you can connect with me, explore the blog, or learn more about what I do. This is Suzie signing off. Until next time, keep reading the signals and never, ever lower your standards.